Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube. I'm Joe Atticus Inch, and welcome to another episode of Poet Love. Now, I have to admit, the past couple days for me have been kind of hard. I was doing the Blair episode, which really put me down, the fact that he's not here anymore, but luckily, like I said, he left so much beautiful stuff that it feel like he's still here with us, so reminder, support Blair, support David Blair all you can. Also on that, I was absolutely horrified by what happened in Boston. I know a lot of people in Boston, and I'm just glad to hear there are people okay, and it's just that whole situation is just messed up, and I fear what happens when we find out why someone would pull this off. Personally, my Aunt Demi passed away, so it's always hard losing a family member. But and also on a lesser scale, personal note, I didn't make the Righting Wrongs Grand Slam team. It came in 7th out of 7th, and that was my 4th Grand Slam. That's kind of hard, but I am happy to say that Righting Wrongs has a great Grand Slam team coming to you in Boston this August. The team consists of Hanif, Will Evans, Rachel Wiley, Ethan Rivera, and JG the Juggernaut. They are 5 really fantastic poets, honor the city well with Columbus, and will make us proud come this August. And with that, thinking about that, I gotta remember to keep the love going, because I honestly do believe that some balance can come to just being positive in the most negative times. And what a good poet to start out with, actually, on that philosophy to talk about, but Sam Cooke. No, not that Sam Cooke. But that Sam Cooke was a badass, and you should check out everything he's ever done. No, it's this Sam Cooke. Notice the differences? Sam Cooke was originally from Boulder, Colorado, but has spent most of his time that I've known him, at least, in Minneapolis. He's been on numerous slam teams that's competed at the National Poetry Slam and locally with Rust Belt. He has coached the Cupsy Slam and is just a phenomenal poet. He is one of the best representations that I can think of the Minnesota slam scene, which is something that I don't think a lot of common people know. You learn about it by going to big events and seeing people from other areas, and I think Sam's work, and Sam personally works in as a good start for that scene. I met Sam back in 2008. He was one of the earlier poets that I met from other areas. So it was during Rust Belt that was in Columbus. I was working the event, and I got to meet a lot of people on the team, on different teams, and it was really great for me, and showed me really, it was my first viewing on what this community was about. And I really connected with certain teams more than maybe others. And that Minnesota team, which had a bunch of other phenomenal poets that we'll talk about later. But I remember Sam, I remember meeting Sam, and we hit it off, and we had some good times. I remember I did my first cipher in a local poet named Dave Noble's house with a bunch of other just great poets I just met, and I was asked to do the cipher and it was just amazing. I did what I thought was my best poem at the time, and it was a music poem and it referenced Sam Cooke, and of course I pointed to him, made that dumb joke. And after that, it was before I really before Facebook, so all we had is MySpace, and there were times where it just MySpace doesn't really seem like as big of a connector as Facebook does now, doesn't it? Or YouTube at that least. But anyways, then at the next Rust Belt that I was at in Columbus, I was actually performing in it, and Sam was on the team, and he came down, and I recognized him. I was afraid though at first to go up and say hi because I didn't know it had been 2 years, and I understand when you only see someone for a little bit of time. I was not able to remember, but I asked, of course, if he was Sam Cooke, and he was like, yeah, and he's like, you're Atticus, right? And then it from there, it's just every time that I've seen him now, it's always been fun. It's always been great hearing him when I can, watching his videos on YouTube over and over again, because it's just, Sam has that great performance style to me, whereas the fact that he has the body movements at times too, but sometimes the poems don't really need them. It's just the way he delivers it. It's just something like it grabs your attention, and that's the thing about Sam's poems. And if you want some good examples of that, I suggest look for Scope and Delta. But Scope and Delta are a thing, and especially Delta. Delta is one of my favorites. It was one of my favorites to hear at the last Rust Belt I was at, and it's just it really is a beautiful setting of a poem, and that's what is Sam's work. It's just like, and what I noticed with a bunch of the Minnesota writers or the poets from those areas, that area of the country, that when they perform it, they give it all. And they also make sure that not only is the performance giving it all, but the poem is exceptional enough to make you want to give it your all. And that's what you get when you just read it, too. And so, like, in Sam's other poems, like comic books, I know he does have a book, but he really doesn't have many copies because that motherfucker still owes me one. Yeah, but he promises next time we see each other, he's going to have a book for me. And I suggest that you check out Sam's work here on YouTube. I can't find, I don't know if he has a website or anything. I can't find it, at least. But I know he has a lot of videos here on YouTube, so please check out Sam's work. And on that note, oh crap, I really gotta... Been straightening up my room, and magic shoebox levitated that way, so gotta dig around here, pick out the next poet. Stay tuned, because the next poet is gonna be huge. It's gonna be a big episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep your pens writing, live long and prosper. I'm Joe Atticus, and stay tuned.